ASD, the main problem lies with the communication. A person who cannot express the thing verbally, if he or she can express it non-verbally, so the communication happens. So there is a fulfillment in the person's life that yes, I can communicate. Art therapy can be individual art therapy, it can be group art therapy. We cannot just say that all the person with ASD will come in the same spectrum. So I don't consider myself to be art therapist or something. I am a facilitator of expression through art.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to India Autism Center podcast, your trusted platform for real conversations, practical guidance and deep insights into neurodevelopmental care, autism spectrum disorders and, last but not the least, empowerment of community. I'm your host for this session, Pooja Datta, and today we will be focusing on to an unpacking a very fascinating yet quite unexplored topic. Yes, we will be talking about the efficacy of art therapy when we are managing individuals in the spectrum. And today we have with us Dr. Abhiruchi Chatterjee, who is a very leading consultant psychiatrist in the city, and he is also a leading art therapist. Welcome to the show, Dr. Abhiruchi Chatterjee.
Good afternoon.
It's been a pleasure that you are today here with us. How are you?
Yeah, I am okay. Actually a very difficult question. How am I?
Yes.
But we must say that we are okay. We are doing well. But the political condition and everything what is going on all over the world sometimes disturbs us. But we need to be okay.
Yes, doctor. Can you please share with us a brief professional journey of yours and how did you come across autism care?
Yeah, I did my MBBS. Then after that, I did my psychiatry, and from an institute which is actually a very old mental hospital, which is called LGB Regional Institute of Mental Health in Tezpur, Assam. And it was quite a journey for us, not knowing the place and seeing a age-old mental hospital. Thereafter, I did my training, brief training even in child psychiatry in at Nimhans, Bangalore. I was there in CMC Vellore for a while. So I have seen the cases of autism, ASD cases, and many of the people with child with low IQ, how they are managed. In fact, the infrastructure, what I feel here in Kolkata is not adequate at that time. Sometimes, like you were saying, ASD is something. ASD or maybe all the pervasive developmental disorders. We cannot say that these are actually the illnesses. These are mostly the states. And in these states, actually there are certain deficiencies which are seen. Like mostly in some of the cases, there are language delay. This language delay. There are certain motor stereotypies. And there are some other developmental problems and all those are there. Actually, we psychiatrists sometimes feel helpless in these cases because these are not treatable directly by the medications. In the mental illnesses, what we feel, we can just prescribe the medicine and can say the patients that, okay, maybe in a month you will be better. But in certain cases, mainly the ASD or other PDDs, we cannot say like that. We cannot say that this is a breaking the bad news, but we must tell them that be hopeful. So there actually at times we feel helplessness. We tell them, okay, go to the occupational therapist, you go to the speech therapist, and sometimes with the psychologist and all, special educators. But we cannot just tell them that, okay, your child will be better in this period. That we cannot say. So it is rather a field, I would say, that which is very difficult for us clinician to treat.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are a psychiatrist. And you are also a pioneer of art therapy in autism in the city. We know you are a very good art therapist who is working very aggressively in this field. Sir, how did you come across art therapy?
See, I don't consider myself art therapist. That I must say. From my childhood, actually, I was very much passionate towards art. That's maybe because of my family background. My parents were actually they were graduate from art college. From the very beginning, I got to know some of the great artists like Bikash Bhattacharya, Ganesh Halui, Ganesh Pine. So I have seen them from very closely. I've seen them, and I was from the very beginning. My expression was I was a bit what you can say. I was a bit introvert, and I could express myself better with art. My expression, rather than communicating with other people in a big setup or something, I was much familiar to sit back and draw something, and I could express many things through art. But I didn't know while my PG course or something that art therapy really exists. We have gone through some of the psychological testing, some of the psychodiagnostics, which were like, RIBT, TAT, DAP, all these things that we learned. So there was something mainly from the psychodynamic part. They used to analyze those pictures and used to get the person's perception regarding it and get to know about many of the unconscious and mostly the Freudian psychoanalytic techniques, and in sometimes like the collective unconscious of the Jungian techniques, and we'll to get to know from that. But after actually I started practicing, I came to know Dr. Devashish Bhattacharya, sir, who is a very senior psychiatrist, and he was working tirelessly on the art therapy. So I actually was very interested. I went to sir, I asked many things to him, and later on I found that this is a field which is unexplored and which I actually really want to do. Obviously, pharmacotherapy, psychotherapy, those are there. Those and art therapy doesn't have any clash between these all these fields. A person who is actually having schizophrenia must go to a psychiatrist and get the pharmacotherapy. But in many of the cases where the person cannot express, the art therapy can help. So we cannot just say that this is a replacement. Whoever says that art therapy is a replacement of pharmacotherapy or any of the established psychotherapy like CBT or DBT or something, it is not like that. It can be adjuvant. It can be actually a way of expression. I rather say that I actually facilitate the people to express themselves through art. So I don't consider myself to be art therapist or something, but I am a facilitator of expression through art. That I can say. And we were talking about the ASD. ASD, the main problem lies with the communication, which all know. The communication is the main barrier. The person cannot communicate. And the language delay is one of the part and parcel of ASD. So here, obviously, art therapy has a very significant role, which is a non-verbal way of communication. A person who cannot express the thing verbally, if he or she can express it non-verbally, so the communication happens. So there is a fulfillment in the person's life that yes, I can communicate. That can be an intrapersonal communication that the person wants to communicate with himself. The person can it can be an interpersonal communication that a person can communicate with the others, or it can be a mass communication with the community. So the person doesn't feel that the person is only alone, because socialization, again, ASD, the main problem lies with the socialization. Here, communication is also a very important role. A person who cannot communicate cannot socialize. So the person needs more stimulation. And if he can communicate more freely by a non-verbal medium, it becomes much more easier. The socialization improves, the self-esteem improves. The person can think, okay, I am understood by others. So, in many of the cases, art therapy may be useful, but maybe for ASD, it is very, very, very much useful. That I must say. But again, you will ask what the scientific community asks, that where are the data? The data is obviously very less, and most of the data that you can find are actually the Western data. So now we are trying to make some Indian data. That is our challenge in the next step. First, to make aware about this type of expression through art. And here we are, see, art can be many fields. It can be visual art, it can be performing art. But here I am speaking about mostly the visual art. The visual art, here people need to get aware. They should not say, it doesn't work, it is something, and art therapy doesn't go with the art teaching. It doesn't make any sense of doing art teaching, that this is a good art. And the product, if you say the product is not that important. Doesn't mean that you need to be an artist. You need to be a very beautiful type of design you need to do. No. Maybe a single line can have many of the emotions which may come out. And it is a raw emotion. It is not actually filtered emotion by your cognition. You got it? Or not by your cortex. It will come from your subcortical area. It will come from your unconscious, from your subconscious, not filtered by your conscious. So this is the main thing that we actually say.
Before moving to the next question, let's have a look at who we are.
Imagine a space designed not just to care for individuals with autism, but to empower them. A place where knowledge grows, support flourishes, and possibilities expand. This is India Autism Center. It is built to redefine how we approach autism. Through education, research, and community-driven initiatives, we create an environment where individuals with autism can thrive. Samavesh, our residential campus, is designed for individuals with autism to live, learn, and grow with dignity and independence. It is more than just a place to stay. It is a space to belong. Manan, our training academy, prepares professionals to provide specialized care. Through structured programs, we equip individuals with the skills to support neurodivergent communities with confidence and compassion. Khoj, our research division, is dedicated to advancing our understanding of autism. Through data-driven studies and collaborative research, we work towards shaping the future of neurodiversity.
Coming back to the podcast, sir. Sir, for most parents, they may wonder that art therapy is about, like we say, it's about drawing, it's about painting, coloring. So if we go beyond book, what does art therapy look like? What are the sessions structured? How are the sessions structured typically for children or individuals who are in the spectrum?
See, art therapy can be individual art therapy, it can be group art therapy. And you need to do it, it should be very much individualistic. We cannot just say that all the person with ASD will come in the same spectrum and they need the same thing. The person with ASD can be a high functioning autistic, it can be a low functioning autistic. The verbal expression maybe is maybe more with somebody and verbal expression maybe less with someone. The IQ, the intelligence level may differ. So it needs to be tailor-made. It should not be this is a rule. It should be tailor-made. So certain people who will mainly think that where the socialization is the issue, we can go for the group art therapy, where the socialization can happen, and with the maybe with the squiggle art, where a person can maybe one person will draw one line, another person will draw another line. this type of thing, or maybe from one part to another the person is drawing like this. So it may be a group, it may be a small group of 2 to 3 who can communicate with them non-verbally. That can increase their eye contact, that can increase their socialization, they can just think together. So this is the type. And in certain ways where there is more importance of catharsis, say the person cannot express and there's a anger issues, there's a behavioral issues, and the catharsis is important, then we can go for the individual type of art therapy where the person can scribble, they can put color, they can just splash colors on the maybe white background, they can do some mess making, they can just put the mud in with their hand and they do some clay activity, they can just put the this hand impression, finger impression on the, then they can slap on the paper, they can even say that they can just tear the paper and later on can go for a collage type of thing. So our thing is, in one way we need to express, one we need to vent out, and in the another way their self-esteem should go up, that I can create, I'm not worthless. It is not like that I cannot do anything. Yes, I have done it. This is a creation. There is, in the whole of the world you cannot find this. If there is artwork which is a purely new thing, it is not a copy. You cannot, if you go whole of the world, you cannot find this thing. That may be 2 lines, but that's a creation that I have done. So this is the self-esteem. And at times, the facilitator, I must not say therapist, I'm using the word facilitator. Facilitator need to sit beside them, get to give them a safe environment so that they can create. They can engage in a few dialogues, whatever they want. If they want, if they don't want, they cannot. So it should not be very much rule centric. It will be individual centric. We will just make them feel safe, make them to create, and we'll ask them that whether you feel in the, like the intrapersonal communication, can you communicate with yourself? Not always it is needed that communicate with others. Can you communicate with yourself?
Okay.
So it will increase the self-esteem. We are not treating the symptoms. We are not saying that, okay, you are having ASD, okay, your socialization will be this amount improved. Not like that. Or your communication will improve like this. Your verbal communication, like a speech therapy or maybe a occupational therapy, or maybe when we are treating the behavioral symptoms, maybe by the pharmacotherapy. It is not like that. It is more a holistic type of thing, where the person as a whole will think, okay, I can do it. I can create something which you cannot find in whole of the world. This is the self-esteem and ultimately the quality of life.
So, sir, is there any pre-assessment as to which area you will focus upon, or whoever comes, be it a child within the spectrum or an individual with diverse severity, they are put into therapy and they lead the therapy sessions, or there is any structured assessment to see the target areas like it happens in other interventions or therapeutic measures?
See, art as a therapy is in a very nascent phase. So we don't have a very structured assessment. Rather, we can ask the person that whether, or we can give the option that whether you will like to do it or not. But again, it should be very much individualistic. If the person rejects, we should not just force the person, you have to do it, you have to do it. No, like that, not like that. Like a squirrel game, like I have given maybe a stroke, and I may ask the person whether you like to give it. We always want to have a qualitative data. We want to predict something with numerics, but you can say it's obviously a bit difficult. And if we actually interpret in totally in numbers, it may lose its flavor. That this is my personal opinion, but this can be, but rather it needs to be upscaled. In somehow it needs to be upscaled, because as a person, when we are living, to feel my worth is very important. What I feel. Yeah, everybody will have disease, everybody will have problem, everybody will have stressors, but as we are living, as we are putting my foot on the ground, this groundedness, this is very important to feel. This is something which you need to feel at times, which you cannot just put into only in data or something.
Very nicely said, sir. We can see the compassion with which you are preaching art therapy, and actually you are, propagating your emotions through this. It is really very nice to see.
Maybe because it's actually a very new thing, and which I am passionate of. Which I am passionate of. Actually, what I can say, I do art therapy to myself at times. Maybe in the late hours after my chambers and all, I do some scribbling. But these scribblings actually makes you feel that you are existing. And this is very difficult to be interpreted in numbers. How much you feel, it is very difficult to say. Even if we make a Likert scale, whether it is very much or very, very much or little less than that, that is also very difficult to say. So it is, I feel it is very much human. Maybe the scientific community may contradict with me at times.
But that is it, sir. Nothing, we cannot do everything quantitatively. Even for individuals in the spectrum, we cannot always quantify their feelings and emotions, right?
Yeah.
So,
but I feel that we need to do some qualitative research at least, so that it should not be very vague. If it is very vague, then it is difficult for the population to understand it. So some part of structuring, maybe a semi-structured type of thing is required, so that the population can understand, so that the people get more benefited with it.
sir, related to what you just now said, so for individuals in the spectrum, what kind of strategies or techniques are followed? Is it structured, or is it semi-structured, or is it unstructured? Which works best for them?
Till now it is more unstructured, but gradually when we need to upscale it, we need to make it a bit semi-structured.
The techniques also need to be semi-structured.
Like the techniques, what we can say that it is, I've previously told that it should be individualistic. But what we used to do, there are certain things that it should be a teamwork. It should have maybe a psychiatrist, psychologist, maybe a social worker, artist can get involved in it. Maybe so this should be the structure. And what we used to give the person, mostly the blunt things. It is not always better to give a pencil or a pen in these cases. Mostly like pastels, oil pastels. These are better. Maybe acrylic color. And sometimes they can use their hands. They can do some finger paintings. So these are the thing, so that they don't injure themselves. And also that should have a, after doing it, they should have a feeling of joy that I've done this type of thing. And there, for the catharsis like this, when you're just venting out or doing the cathartic, if you can given a say oil pastel, they can just even break it on the paper. Or maybe some paper can be given, just to they asked to throw some color on it. They can tear it up. They can make some origami type of thing from it. So we need to think in this way, So, and I've told about the individual and the group, that we need to think about before starting the session, that how we will approach. So this is the like that. So currently it is more unstructured, but later on, when we can think of upscaling it, we need to be little semi-structured. But totally structured, I don't feel that it is possible.
Sir, are art therapy techniques different for children and individuals, for adults who are in the spectrum?
See, you were saying about only the ASD cases.
In the ASD cases.
ASD cases. So in the children, again we need to do that assessment, that where in the spectrum the child falls. That is very important. If it is towards the more high functioning type, then we need to think of something else which will be towards the adult. And if it is very low functioning type, then we need to be, and the support needs by the support to be given by the facilitator will change. So if it is a child with low functioning autistic and it is a small child, we need to be more supportive, more caregiving, more hand holding that may be required, and more encouragement. But when it is going towards the adult and it is a more high functioning type of ASD, so their free will be given more importance. They will be asked. So the facilitator needs to be more passive. They needs to be, okay, I'm here. You are given, provided by this, whatever you want, you can start, you can do. But if the person is not doing like that, if the person needs more hand holding, then we need to go for the games first, like that I have told, that when you have to be more proactive, you have to engage the person. So like this, so it doesn't only define with the age, but it is the where the person lies in the spectrum is more important.
Okay. So it is the current functioning of the individual.
Exactly. And for the adult who are in the ASD, self-esteem is a very important thing. And venting out. At times, maybe a person who is a young adult and having maybe a, say, aggressiveness, or maybe a there is a there's a disinhibition type of thing, disinhibited sexuality or something. So their handling will be different. They will be asked to more vent it out, like how they can do it. We need to be very much actually respectful and compassionate. We must not judge that, and we must not think that, okay, you are falling into ASD spectrum, how will you do? Or we have to think of the person who is doing, his capacity. We need to be very much aware or respectful about their capacity. We must think that they can do it. We should not be judgmental like that. How he can do it? He cannot just solve this simple thing. He cannot speak these two words. So how can it? We need to be very much respectful in that angle about the ability of the person.
Sir, if I say art therapy and children with high support, does art therapy work for them?
See, we cannot say that it won't work. Because in case of ASD, more severity means more intellectual disability, more communication problem, more motor stereotypy, more problem in socialization. So everything is more. So if they can actually communicate in a way which is a non-verbal way, and they can do it. Actually, one thing you need to understand, and everybody should understand, the main focus is to be non-judgmental. And also not to think that this picture is the X-ray of his mind. I could understand many things from it. It is not like that. To make the person feel that he or she can do it. This is very important.
Sir, I'm very happy that you said this, which means that it is not judged by the level of severity, like the robotic mechanisms it does. So it depends on the free will of the child.
Actually, you cannot just differentiate it like that. How much art therapy this person will need, or how much art therapy this person will need, that doesn't do anything. And that's why I'm not saying now that we cannot just say that it is quote unquote therapy. It is the expression through visual art, and where we can actually think of the enhancement of quality of life, and what you can say, maybe a self-esteem, and the feeling that yes, I can do it. Actually, art is here. I will just say a few things. Art is something which is which actually came before the words, when there was no alphabets, nothing. In 30,000 BC, maybe 30,000 years ago, or 31,000, maybe around 30,000 years ago, when we see the cave paintings of the Altamira, maybe in the Madhya Pradesh, Pachmari and Bhimbetka, those things. You can just think that they have done a certain wonderful things on their caves. They could understand there was no alphabet. At least we don't know whether there was any alphabet, when any language to communicate. But they did the artwork. So art is always the medium of communication from when the human history started. So from art, actually, the alphabet came. Art is actually, what I will say, that art is not something very extracurricular type of thing. From the very childhood, we say one thing. Whether my son goes to some art teacher to learn art, like learning some ragas or something, these to be learned, and art is to communicate. If you are thinking of becoming a recognized artist, you want to sell your artworks, or you are doing it for some advertisement, then it's something else. But for communication, you can see that still the children who speaks a very little words. I'm not saying about ASD or anything. They used to do the wall art. They just give some rounds on the wall or maybe on the floor. So what is that? They're expressing. Maybe their words are not known to us. We cannot communicate with them. But they're actually expressing with that. Then if they're not expressing, why they're doing it? We have seen our children to do it. And we, as parents, used to say, hey, khane corona. But they're actually expressing. Isn't it?
Yes, sir. So truly, art is universal, and that is
Actually,
very well conveyed.
It is universal.
And it doesn't hold for only atypical or typical children. It holds for everyone.
It holds for everyone. Everyone, from the birth to maybe the deathbed.
Sir, we use lot of colors, lot of textures in art therapy. What about children who have sensory sensitivities? Because we know children in the spectrum, they are sensitive to so many stimuli out there. So how do you adapt art therapy techniques that caters to the sensory sensitivities of these children and adults?
See, the occupational therapist used to do many things with the textures and all. Here, we must say that in case of when you are using the art, maybe we can use the finger paintings. The finger paintings where they can just sense to dip their hand into the colors, so there is a sensation. There may be with some objects which are say some objects where they can they can make some mold with it, some sculpturing. This type of thing will be helpful, like maybe some mud that I was telling about, the mess making type of thing. They can just mess it out, and they can just make all these things with their hand and all. So their sensation can improve a bit. And there are, but it should come along with the occupational therapy. It is not that the thing that occupational therapy is not important. They will give the proper stimulus to the senses, but with the art can do a hand holding with it. And they can use different materials. Here, not only putting them to one pen or pencil and just to draw, they can give into some other materials where they can just feel by the hands. They may feel with the other parts that there is, and they can put even the colors or those things into their body. So there may be a hand painting, there may be body painting that can be very much useful. They can give something done on their body. So this actually improves the feeling of sensation and all. The perception is very important here. They can, from the sense to perceive. Not always they need to just cognitively sense it, but to sense and perceive. This is important.
Many of the parents who are watching here, they may have some interest or some concern as to what kind of art therapy strategies that they can simply adapt at home, which are not that harmful because they can do as common persons. Sir, can you just mention some of those strategies that are of use to them?
That also depends on where the child is, obviously what material to be given. But what they can do, they can just give some white pages or maybe some newspaper or something, just make them to crumble it, put it into maybe a color. They can just make some color with it. They can do some collage with that. And also the finger painting is a very important thing where the sensation will be there. They can dip it. They can just put the colors like this. So the sensation will improve. They can do it. And also there is and they can, if these all things becomes difficult, they can at least put some page and give some pastel colors of 3 or 4 different colors. They can just put along with that, the family member can play some squiggle game type of that, so that the person becomes more interactive, so that the interpersonal interaction. I've told about the communications. It can be interpersonal. Here the interpersonal improves with the parent. If the parent is playing the game with that, they can just put it like this. Even there is a relaxation. The parent's relaxation can also happen with that, along with the child's interpersonal improvement. They can do like that. One, if you can say that what they can be done, they can give the pages, they can give pastel colors, they can give some of the non-toxic type of colors which they can put in their hand to give the hand impression, fingerprinting, this type of thing. They can be given some newspapers which they can tear, they can color it, and they can just paste it. So this type of thing can be done. And for interpersonal, some of the games like where they can put one, they can draw a line on the page and ask the child to do another line, so that the interpersonal thing improves.
Sir, and finally, any success stories of children or individuals in the spectrum that you have come across where art therapy was of help?
In between, I have done one workshop with one organization with mostly of the ASD children, and I have involved their parent also in those group. That was a actually group art therapy type of session that I have done, and the interpersonal, actually, if you say the success story, I have to give you the result. I cannot give you the result, but whatever in the after the session, when they interacted, the interaction was more jovial, more spontaneous. That I have observed. And they, along with the parent, because what how we did the group, it was not their parent is in that group, maybe some else's parent is there, but how they were interacting, they are giving their own ideas. What I have seen, the ASD children were giving their ideas to those parents. So there is a sense of well-being is obviously there, and more interaction. And after the session, we had a small interaction with them, so spontaneity was much more there. And we can see the process, how they were interacting, what was their body language, how they're applying the colors, whether they're enjoying. So these are more important than the what is the end product, how beautiful it is. What I feel will, what according to my perception is aesthetically very good, it may vary with the child's perception. One individual, I must say, is an adult, and we are not very sure whether the person was having ASD or something, but that person was not speaking at all. That girl, uh, actually, we found it. It is in another NGO. We found that girl on the road. We brought that girl to the shelter home, and she was not telling about her name, from where she has come. She was just looking blindly, blank look. We have thought of whether there is a catatonia or something is there, or some. Um, but one day, when we just having the individual session of art therapy, she was not touching the things for a while. We were just telling that, please take it. Do you want to do something? She was looking blankly. Suddenly, she drew something. And on that day, she smiled. And she told her name. And she told that this is her house. So the verbal communication again started. Maybe the person was having psychosis for a while. Over the years, it was an untreated psychosis. And maybe it was, along with that, there was some autism, PDD spectrum. But actually, it's still, I remember. I have her photograph. That on that day, that smile came up.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, doctor, for being here. It was really very compassionate, very dedicated, and thank you for providing us such beautiful insights into art therapy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. To the viewers out there, if you feel that this discussion, it is useful, that you have learned something new, that something can be done after this discussion for your child, please do not forget to like this video, share this video with others so that even others come to know about this discussion, and also please subscribe to our video channel. Thank you so much for being there. And unless we come with another such podcast, till that time, please do watch the video that is popping on your screen. Thank you so much.